Hi guys, happy holidays! In this video, we're going to take a closer look at Oscar, the newest hero class coming to ROM. Unlike traditional burst mages, Oscar's damage profile revolves around stacking continuous HP loss effects and detonating them at carefully timed moments. On top of that, Oscar brings unique battlefield zone control, team protection, and force displacement, allowing him to function not just as a damage dealer but also as a high-impact utility disruptor. In this guide, we'll explain Oscar's skill mechanics in detail and then break down his strengths and weaknesses so you can decide whether he fits your playstyle and if he's worth investing in for PvE and PvP. Alright, without further ado, let's begin. First up, let's look at Oscar's core gameplay mechanic. Oscar's core passive Space-Time Decay fundamentally changes how continuous HP loss effects behave. Under normal circumstances, continuous HP loss effects such as poison, bleed, burn, and skill-based effects like Alight trigger at fixed intervals, usually once every second. Oscar disrupts this mechanic by applying Time-Eroding Bubble on enemies. Each bubble stack reduces the trigger interval of all continuous HP loss effects on that target by 7%. This applies not only to Oscar's own skills, but also to continuous HP loss effects inflicted by his teammates. Since Time-Eroding Bubble can stack up to 10 times, the interval reduction can reach 70%. At max bubble stacks, continuous HP loss effects such as Blade Soul's Poison or Arcane Master's Alight can trigger every 0.3 seconds. At level 4 core passive, enemies affected by Time-Eroding Bubble are automatically struck by Singularity of Silence once every 3 seconds without consuming any bubble stacks. Singularity of Silence deals high single target magic damage and instantly triggers 50% of all unresolved bubble stacks on the target, making Oscar's damage output highly unpredictable. At level 7 core passive, whenever the level 4 effect triggers, the remaining cooldown time of all of Oscar's class skills is reduced by 1 second. This reduction even applies to skills with fixed cooldowns, allowing Oscar to cycle through his skill rotation much more quickly. Next, Time-Eroding Bubble is the primary debuff that enables Oscar's damage loop. Every time Oscar casts Magnetic Field Aura, he applies a stack of Time-Eroding Bubble to enemies. Each bubble stack deals continuous neutral magic damage once per second and lasts for 10 seconds. Oscar's core passive converts the bubble damage into HP loss, similar to how the Harvester 6v6 talent works. It is different from the additional HP loss damage as it first follows the standard magic damage calculation, meaning it benefits from ignoring death, skill damage, AoE magic damage, spell crit damage, and other pseudo-final damage modifiers. Afterward, the damage is converted into HP loss, allowing you to further benefit from HP loss damage bonus while being reduced by the target's HP loss damage reduction. All 3 of Oscar's star runes have a second line effect that increases HP loss effects by up to 20%, so he can gain up to 60% HP loss damage increase purely from runes. Another major advantage of this HP loss effect is that it can bypass certain game mechanics such as HP shields, damage block, and damage reflection. Although Time-Eroding Bubble has a very low magic attack multiplier of 140%, it can stack up to 10 times and its damage is doubled when enemies are inside warp space. More importantly, each bubble stack amplifies the effectiveness of all continuous HP loss effects. The longer the stacks remain active, the more oppressive the damage becomes. Take note that when Oscar is using his Tier 5 signature weapon, Time-Eroding Bubble's damage against monsters is further increased by 50%. Overall, his core gameplay revolves around applying and maintaining bubble stacks to continuously deal a combination of magic and HP loss damage to his enemies. Up next, let's take a look at Oscar's other sources of damage aside from Time-Eroding Bubble. First, Magnetic Field Aura is Oscar's primary offensive skill and his main way of applying bubble stacks. Oscar creates a rift at a target location that deals neutral magic damage in 2 stages. The first hit damages enemies within a 4-meter radius and forcibly pulls the nearest enemy within 6 meters towards the center. After 1 second, the rift erupts again with a larger radius of 6 meters, dealing the same amount of damage a second time. Its magic attack multiplier is fairly average at 2800%, but its damage can be further amplified for its related star rune and Oscar's signature weapon. Aside from dealing damage and disrupting the enemy's position, Magnetic Field Aura also applies bubble stacks, even if the skill itself fails to deal damage. Because of its short cooldown, you can cast it frequently to refresh bubble stacks and increase the number of HP loss damage ticks on a target. Take note that Magnetic Field Aura is a ground-based effect, meaning it can be blocked by Chronomancer's Earth Field, converted into Serpent Domain by Jormungandr, and ignored entirely by Ice Wallenstein's Ariel. Next, Temporal Gaze builds upon Magic Field Aura and turns it into Sustained Era Denial. When activated, Oscar begins channeling for up to 10 seconds, automatically triggering Magnetic Field Aura once every second in the target zone. While channeling, he can freely reposition the target zone by tapping the ground, allowing him to track moving enemies or control choke points. If enemies remain inside the area, the damage can quickly ramp up as the bubble stacks are continuously refreshed. This makes temporal gaze especially effective in large-scale combat where enemies are forced to either reposition or endure the increasing damage pressure. Since Oscar is vulnerable while channeling, the related S rune greatly improves his survivability by granting 30% to 80% final damage reduction during channeling. And lastly, while most of Oscar's damage builds up over time, Singularity of Silence provides him a way to deliver burst damage. When cast, it deals a high single-target magic damage and immediately triggers 50% to 80% of all unresolved bubble stacks on the target depending on the related star rune. After that, all bubble stacks are removed and spreads to all enemies within 5 meters, transferring the accumulated HP loss potential to nearby targets. As mentioned earlier, Oscar's level 4 core passive can also auto-proc Singularity of Silence once every 3 seconds without removing any stacks. This skill allows Oscar to convert long-term pressure into immediate impact. Proper timing is crucial as casting it too early wastes its damage potential, while casting it at max stacks can completely swing a fight in your favor. Up next, let's break down Oscar's buffs and debuff skills. First, Chrono Wormhole creates a moving time barrier that follows Oscar. Oscar and his teammates inside the barrier become hidden and are immune to damage from enemies outside the barrier. This makes it an excellent tool for surprise attacks and safer positioning when caught in a sticky situation. With the related S rune, the HP loss damage taken by teammates inside the barrier is reduced by up to 30%. Chrono Wormhole lasts for 12 seconds and has a fixed cooldown of 25 seconds, so proper timing is crucial for survivability. Next, Warp Space is one of Oscar's most defining crowd control abilities. Oscar creates a circular-shaped field on the ground that progressively slows enemies inside it, doubles the damage of Time-Eroding Bubble, and reduces the enemy's abnormal status resist by up to 30% depending on the related S rune. After 3 seconds, affected enemies enter stillness state, rendering them completely unable to act. While this status does not apply to MVP or mini-monsters, it is extremely powerful against normal mobs and enemy players. Stillness lasts for 8 seconds, cannot be dispelled, and is not affected by forced status resistance. However, this status can be removed early if a target takes cumulative damage equal to 50% of their max HP. Stillness state can also be cleared by Alina's Shackle Breaking skill or the Carrot Protection skill granted by the Eclipse's Carrot card, which was released in the BCC box earlier this month. After the stillness state ends, enemies remaining inside the AoE will continue to be slowed. Warp Space lasts for 30 seconds and only one field can exist at a time, reinforcing Oscar's role as a strategic zone control specialist. Next, Time Dilation Black Hole is an enhanced version of Warp Space and is Oscar's highest level of battlefield control. This skill expands the effects of Warp Space to the entire map, including 6v6 and small-scale PvP maps. However, it doesn't work in open field maps and is limited to a 12-meter radius in GVG maps. After 3 seconds, all units within the affected area, except for Oscar himself, enter stasis state, which renders enemies and allies unable to do any action. During this state, all of Oscar's skill cooldowns, including inherited and adventure skills, are reduced by 100%, allowing him to chain multiple skills freely while enemies are unable to respond. In addition, taking damage cannot trigger HP recovery effects, and the status cannot be immunized. Stasis lasts for 5 seconds and its duration can be extended to 8 seconds when Oscar is equipped with his Tier 5 signature weapon refined to +15. Do note that once stasis ends, all Warp Space effects are removed and affected units gain immunity to stasis for 15 seconds. In coordinated team play, this skill often determines the outcome of clashes, so you have to time it properly and warn your teammates in advance. For a limited time Gashapon event, players can obtain a special visual effect for Time Dilation Black Hole. Next, Fate Rewind allows Oscar to manipulate the positions of both teammates and enemies. It has 2 options to either rewind or pull. Rewind sends the target back to the position they were in 5 seconds ago, while pull brings the target directly to Oscar's location, similar to the Guardian 6v6 talent. When used on an enemy, all debuff durations on them are refreshed, allowing the bubble stacks to last longer. When used on an ally, it fully restores their HP and refreshes the duration of their dispellable buffs, making it a lifesaver in unfavorable situations. And lastly, Time Travel is Oscar's displacement skill. He can use it to teleport himself along with any existing warp space to the target location of up to 12 meters away. With the related star rune, Oscar will not lose HP for up to 2 seconds after teleporting. Because of this, time travel can be used both offensively to chase down enemies and defensively to retreat to a safer position without the risk of dying immediately after teleporting. Finally, let's go over Oscar's passive skills. First, Fate Nexus Resonance equalizes Oscar's raise damage and raise damage reduction based on his highest values and extends this benefit to Dragon Race teammates. Since demi-human damage modifiers have many native sources, this mechanic allows Oscars as well as his party members who can turn into Dragon Rays to focus on boosting damage to demi-human and demi-human damage reduction. Alternatively, if you own a Time and Space Dragon card, you can opt to invest in damage to Dragon Rays, which could potentially suppress your damage to demi-human modifier. Currently, the only consistent way to transform into Dragon Rays is to use a combo of Phantom Dragon Galeuronton card in your footgear and a Sakura Puppet back item. Just note that this passive reduces the effectiveness of the Era Fire Seed relic since all raised damage modifiers are equalized. Second, Undercurrent Surge is a debuff that increases the target's damage taken by 10% for 5 seconds for each distinct elemental attack applied by Oscar and his teammates to the same target. For example, if the party applies 5 different elemental attacks, the target will take 50% more damage for 5 seconds. This passive strongly rewards elemental diversity in a party composition. Furthermore, when Oscar deals neutral damage, his elemental counter coefficient increases by 0.3, which makes his damage still good even against enemies wearing Ghost Ring card or Chaos Elemental Guardian card. Lastly, Out of Time provides Oscar with additional survivability as he gains a 30% chance to recover HP equal to 100% of the physical damage or magic damage taken. It also grants partial protection against HP loss damage as he gains a 20% chance to remove the remaining duration of continuous HP loss effects. Because of this, the Tai Chi Arcane Rune is particularly well suited for Oscar. To summarize, Oscar offers a unique combination of strengths both in PvE and PvP. First, Oscar has access to some of the strongest crowd control effects in the game. Warp Space's Stillness and Time Dilation Black Hole Stasis can completely stop enemies from doing anything, making them extremely reliable in PvP and GVG. Second, Oscar has a unique HP loss scaling mechanic that works similarly to the Harvester 6v6 talent. As mentioned earlier, this is different from traditional HP loss damage because it follows the standard magic damage calculation. It can also bypass certain mechanics such as HP shields, damage block, and damage reflection. And third, Oscar offers strong team utility both defensively and offensively, making him particularly effective in organized group content. Chrono Wormhole provides team-wide protection. Fate Rewind can either save teammates from lethal situations or force enemies into unfavorable positions. In addition, Oscar enhances the team's offensive potential through elemental diversity, continuous HP loss builds, and increased raised damage modifiers. But of course, Oscar still has some shortcomings that you should consider. First, Oscar does not deliver immediate burst damage. His damage requires time to ramp up for bubble stacks, which makes him feel slower compared to pure burst damage dealers. If Singularity of Sands is used at the wrong timing, its impact can be significantly lower than that of traditional burst-oriented classes. Second, Oscar's damage potential in PvE is relatively weak. All his offensive skills are locked to neutral element, which means he heavily relies on a Kafra partner to convert his attacks into a stronger element. On top of that, HP loss damage suffers significant decay against monsters, further limiting his effectiveness in PvE content. Third, Oscar is a mechanically demanding class with a steep learning curve. Effectively managing bubble stacks, positioning magnetic field aura and temporal gaze, and properly timing his skills all require strong game knowledge and coordination in team play. He also lacks strong sustain, and his survivability tools are not always reliable, so you need to move and position carefully in battle. And fourth, Oscar is expensive to build as an offensive-oriented PvP class. Crafting his weapon requires overpriced Nightmare Dragon Balls, and his star runes have 3 lines, making min-maxing very expensive. His practical use is mostly confined to PvP and GVG content, so you should carefully consider your budget before committing to him. In conclusion, Oscar is a hybrid powerhouse capable of dealing substantial damage and inflicting strong crowd control. He excels at disabling enemies, controlling zones, and dealing continuous HP loss effects rather than burst, making him one of the most influential hero classes available. However, his complexity and expensiveness mean he is best suited for experienced players. Do you think Oscar will enter the meta? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll also be releasing a full guide on Oscar's PvP DPS build in another video, so stay tuned for that. And as always, keep in mind that the actual in-game content may vary from what's presented in this video. Alright, that's it for this video guys. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed watching this guide. If you're new here, I would love you to consider subscribing by hitting the subscribe button down below. I would love to have you back. Thank you for watching and see you in our next episode.